I'm Nathan. This is the At Odd Show. Please listen.
Forget what you learned in school. Never mind what your parents told you, and disregard what your friends say. From now on, the only people you need to listen to are these guys. For the next several minutes, they'll take you on a journey through the political jungle. And when your journey is over and you're safe at home, they promise you'll be stronger, smarter, and just plain better. So buckle up, hang on to your ears, because your journey starts now.
You don't, if you're working,
and welcome to another episode of At Odds. Today's Thursday, October 17th. We're broadcasting from the back room of the Postpone the Problem Barn Studio.
Oh, boy.
In a large city in what country, Nate?
Nigeria,
my favorite country.
Yeah, no, I mean,
now
the
that
last couple of weeks we've been stuck in the United States because
we got our passports back.
The passports were taken when the government was shut down.
Well, mine just disappeared. It was like, poof, gone.
Yeah, no, just like the roads.
And I went and looked for it after the government started up again, and there it was.
And there were skunks all over on the side of the road, dead.
Because the government wasn't picking them up.
Drove to work today. No skunks.
No skunks.
They
like
all
magic.
made it back to
and as
Capitol
you said,
Hill.
Every road was back in place.
Yes,
it's
it was.
Good. I'm glad the government's back.
And luckily we made it to a more stable country.
Like Nigeria. We're always welcome here.
Well, you are.
They like me.
I don't know what that means. But
I don't know either.
Welcome.
The thing is, the studio smells great. That's the one thing about Nigeria is they have incense in all of the bars and studios, and it smells like a French brothel. But other than that,
yeah, no, that's
pretty good.
They have French brothel candles.
I thought somebody
was
smoking marijuana and they were burning the incense to kind of hide the smell. Remember when you used to do that in high school?
Turns out
Nate?
that wasn't true, was it?
No,
Not
it wasn't.
At all. No.
Mom and Dad always knew. All right. Well, anyways, I want to remind you, because Nate's too modest, to remind you to listen to the Nate Nephew Show on Spreaker and on
shucks
on Red State Talk Radio. Number one show on Red State Talk Radio.
NathanNephew.com.
I don't know how much he's paying the owner to be number one, but apparently it's enough. And it's not that I'm jealous at all.
Hey, this show's also on Red State.
Yes, it is.
So check out the broadcast.
We're up there.
We are.
We were in the top 5 one month.
That's
but
RedStateTalkRadio.com.
And we're live tonight, and they can call 248-455-ODDS. That's 248-455-6337. So how you been, Nate?
I've been all right. I've been
in a grumpy mood. I think it's the weather.
It's been very obvious.
It's rainy
to me
and cold
and
here in
everybody
Nigeria.
on Facebook know that you've been in a grumpy mood.
The hell with all of you.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the show tonight. We have Terry Whitney.
I'm trying to get off heroin. All right, it's not easy.
Did you see the substitute teacher?
No.
I can't remember which
was
school.
Was she on heroin?
He was a substitute teacher, like 28 years old, I think. Just passed out in the middle of class. Turns out he had done heroin that morning.
Yeah.
It was weird because he didn't admit it.
Yeah.
They just happened to find it in his pockets and in his car. So what?
That's not mine. That's not mine. You've met my coworker, Aaron, right? He used to substitute teach.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
There you go. That's all I'm going to say.
That's good. All right. Yeah. No, good. I'm sure he was great at it.
He said he wasn't. He said he was not good at it.
They kept asking him back. So I don't.
Yeah, they did. He got $78 a day or whatever it was. They couldn't pay me enough to take care. It was high school, too. Oh, God. You imagine?
Well, you can hit them.
No, they shoot back.
Oh. Well, Yeah.
They really do. Other than that, my puppy's doing good. She's getting big. She's getting a little nippy. I don't like that.
Yeah, my puppy's doing all right too. Not getting big.
No, yours is not going to get any bigger than
as big as she's going to get.
I don't know how big is she? A rat?
Yeah,
size? Big rat.
Approximately half the weight of our cat.
Yeah. Well, you have a big cat.
Yeah, the dog's still only like 8 pounds though. So I mean,
most cats are about 8
dog.
pounds. Your cat's like 56 pounds.
Yeah, 56 pounds. Yeah. So now we have little Reagan running around.
People. Oh, isn't that nice? After the Exorcist girl, not the president.
Well, sure. You know who my idols are.
I do. Girls that puke in bed and presidents.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. Oh,
let's going downhill. No, like I was saying, I'm
You weren't
super
saying
excited for this show.
Really?
No, Terry Whitney running for U.S. Senate in Michigan.
For Michigan, yeah.
Yeah, for Michigan.
We have an open seat. Hasn't been opened in about 1,000 years.
Yeah, ever
Carl
since Carl Levin was in his 70s.
Sweet, liberal,
horrible man.
Socialist, anti-gun senator from the great state of Michigan.
I would say we need to get all the Democrats out of there, but I think Mr. Whitney is running as a Democrat, so I have some questions about that.
We do. We'll see.
Well,
there's some contradictions there, and maybe he can explain that when he's here. He's pro-gun, he's pro-freedom, pro-liberty, done some Tea Party stuff, but he's running as a Democrat. We'll ask. Maybe it's a strategy. I don't know.
Yeah, so that'll be the second half, so I guess you have to stay tuned in.
Let's see. Oh, shutdown's over, as we mentioned. Do you want to go over the talking points on the main thing?
I want to?
Because we're in the postpone the problem bar and studio, I thought it was applicable for the shutdown.
I don't understand.
Well, I think, aren't they just sort of postponing the inevitable?
Isn't that what they have been doing for the last 5 years?
Yes.
We haven't had a budget.
He's not a leader.
At all. None of them are leaders.
Yeah.
None of them the president should not be writing budgets, but he doesn't help things.
But he should be behind the scenes doing things. I mean, that's what a leader does. He motivates, he works, he puts deals together, he compromises, he does things to get people to be productive. That's what a CEO does, and that's what the president
need to at least be willing to talk. That was the biggest part. The biggest problem with all of this, with the shutdown, he and his cronies just said, no, we're not talking unless you give us everything we want.
And blaming everybody but him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you see the article on the psychologist or whatever that evaluated him during this and says that Obama's got daddy abandonment issues and that's why everything's got to be a victim and you've got to do this and that and his grandparents didn't like black people, so that was an issue. He was rejected by his mother and she had a dubious past and the guy is screwed up.
No, he is, and I mean that's obvious. You don't need a psychologist to come up with that.
And he's not the first one to say this.
Dreams from My Father. Yeah. Read that. It's about his radical Marxist father that he really never knew, but he idolized
because he never knew him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And that's what you're saying. That's what the psychologist was saying.
I just want to know the handlers, the bastards that saw this poor guy and said, we can do something with this piece of clay and mold him somehow for our benefit. I want to know who those people are. Ooh, better be careful.
Why?
Well, they could be in Nigeria. It's not that far from Kenya.
His birthplace.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That's where I was going.
Yeah, no. Wow.
I
said,
took a long way.
The deal, what happened is the cowards that stood up in the Republican Party that decided, yeah, we're going to stand for something, McConnell, Boehner, these people that pretended like they really cared what the hell their constituents wanted, who were elected on the premise that they would do everything they could to get rid of Obamacare, specifically, just cave.
Something happened.
They go up until a poll comes out that says Republicans are to blame, and then bam, white flag. And then we'll give you everything you want, and sure, we'll talk later.
I had Boehner say, well, It was a good battle, but we lost. We just lost.
Yeah, we fought the
That's
good
it.
fight, but
That's
we
it.
lost.
That's it.
We didn't win.
We just lost. What the hell kind of attitude is that?
Republicans are used to losing. That's what this is what they do. They stand up, they act like they're going to do something good, and then they just give up because there's a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
And it's always it's never okay, we compromised. It's always we gave them what they wanted because the Democrats promised us that they'd talk to us later.
Yeah.
Next week we're going to get together for lunch and we're going to talk.
Yeah. It's like
no.
I'm gonna sleep with you because I know you're gonna call me tomorrow, and they never call.
It's pretty much.
I don't even get flowers.
They don't call you, do they? That's so sad.
I don't even get an omelet or anything for breakfast.
I'll talk to those guys for you.
Wait a minute. Wait, something's what?
No, but I mean that's a pretty good analogy.
I know.
That's really what it. We'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don't call us. We'll call you.
Give us what we want, baby, and we'll slap you on the ass, send you out the door, and we'll call you.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Listen.
So the government is reopened at least through the middle of January.
January 15th, which is Martin Luther King Day, isn't it?
Yeah,
January 15th?
it might be. I
think
don't
so.
know.
You don't know.
I don't know. What?
Speaking of that, Harry Belafonte's suing the estate of Martin Luther King Jr. over some documents he had. He's trying to sell them to raise money, and there's some issue going on. But anyways, it's my good friend. I love him. We were like brothers, but I'm suing his estate.
Suing him. I liked him, just not his family.
Debt ceiling lifted?
Yeah, through at least February 7th. There are some provisions to let that go a bit beyond that. And this part I'm not absolutely sure about, but I'm pretty sure it gave Obama some of the reign on this. So he has some ability to go above the debt ceiling, make some of his own decisions on it, to kind of just say, yeah, I'm the president and I should be in charge.
See, that's
so
bad.
I'm not worried.
I hadn't heard that.
Of course
but, I mean,
it's bad.
That's not his...
It goes right along with Mitch McConnell, the Republican that got $2 billion for Kentucky in this deal.
Oh, that's not his prerogative.
49 other states didn't get anything.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell got $2 billion for his state.
For dams or some building.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, there was some wheeling and dealing. Well, it always goes on.
Take a quick phone call, and then we'll get back to what you were saying, which I'm sure
it was nothing. It was very important. I'll forget.
Thanks for calling At Odds. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hi, this is Don Gilbert, and I would just like to hear you guys' opinion on the GOP. They changed the House Rule 22, Clause 4, so that only the Speaker or the Speaker's designate may bring the amendment back up to reopen the government. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, and I saw this, and the bigger problem than this specific change is that this sort of thing happens all the time. The Democrats have done it. That doesn't make it right. And really, what it was doing was blocking the Democrats, because I think there was a big showing, and the reason this has become public was the Democrats stood up and said, well, I want to bring up the bill to reopen the government, and so they're saying, well, we changed the rules yesterday, you can't do that, only John Boehner can bring up this bill to reopen the government. It's a deeper problem than just this one change, I think, and I haven't looked into the background of the reasoning for it, but when you have a situation where you're blocking people from bringing up legislation of whatever type based on House rules, not following existing rules where you can filibuster and things to block legislation, but changing the rules so it can't even be discussed, that's definitely something you need to look into, I would think.
What are your thoughts on it, sir?
Well, I'm a Republican myself, so somewhat supported the what was going on, but I think it was taken too far. And just seeing that, they took it to the point of waiting until the government was just about shut down, changing the House rule so that then at that point only the GOP could even vote to reopen the government, or could even bring up the bill for a vote to reopen the government. It was really like a hostage situation, in my opinion. And like you said, Nathan, was about blocking the Democrats from trying to move it forward. But it was just frustrating for me to see that they would go to such lengths to keep the government closed.
Yeah, absolutely. Whichever side you're on, I think discussion and the open dialogue and open debate is the way to go. I think that's just always the right course.
I don't think one party is, blameless.
Oh, no, for sure.
In this fiasco.
Well, thanks for your call, Don.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Well,
I knew someone would bring that up. I was
Yeah.
avoiding it because I'm a diehard establishment Republican type. So
I didn't think you were. I thought you were a National Socialist.
Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. I hate the Republicans.
You and everyone else. What?
Well, the other key point. All of these people these poor federal workers that took a job in a place that wasn't exactly, I don't know, stable to begin with. They're all getting paid, which I don't necessarily disagree with. They were promised the money. It wasn't their fault the government closed down. Right. Should they be employed by the federal government? No.
Well, that's another issue.
But they are.
Yeah, that's another issue.
They are. So tomorrow, can them all. But today, give them their pay because it wasn't their fault that they couldn't work. Now, I know in the state of Michigan, state employees have been forced to take unpaid days to help with budget problems, and they don't get paid for those days. It's usually one here, one there. It's not, 11, 12, 14 in a row, whatever it was. So it's a little different, but, I was watching on the news. I saw this, she was a reservist or something in the military. She flew a flag in her front yard every single day until the government shut down. Then she stopped flying the American flag.
Why was that?
I don't know. Because apparently it dented into her patriotism. She didn't love her country quite as much during the shutdown. And it's one of those weird situations because I'm extremely thankful for what she's doing in the armed services, right? But the American flag and flying the flag in your front yard is very different than supporting your government. Very different.
Love your country, but not necessarily your government.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you can do what other people have done, and that's fly it upside down.
Don't do that either.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
I don't think that's necessarily a good idea either.
No, it's not.
Let's see. Explain income verification requirement for Obamacare beneficiaries. I don't know. What's that? I don't.
Well, when Obamacare was implemented, in order to get a subsidy to get part of your very efficiently, well, when it was conceived, I should say, when it was passed into law, on that drunken night back in September. Yeah, and we can go through how it was passed if you'd like. But
no, God,
in order to get a subsidy, in order to get part of your health care paid for by the government, right, by tax money, you had to meet certain income levels. You had to be so poor.
Yeah, but what's that? Okay.
What happened is the administration said, we're going to delay implementing the system to do the verification because we just don't have time and it'll be bad, and we don't want people to pay full price because they'll hate it if they pay full price.
I got it. I was thinking beneficiaries of the people that might be covered under the, like family and spouses.
Everyone's
and stuff,
a beneficiary of Obamacare.
Right. I got it now. So, in other words, if I say I'm making $12,000 a year and I get all these bonuses,
today you can.
I got to prove that I make $12,000 a year or less.
Well, yesterday you did not have to prove it.
Okay.
Today or whenever,
maybe
you have to prove it.
Okay.
I think they had 6 months or something to put together a report that proves that there is income verification.
But you don't have to have income to get the health insurance, right?
No, it's a ceiling.
Yeah, I understand, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are at poverty level or low incomes that don't, file income taxes. So, how do you? The IRS is tied into all this, right? They're the jackbooted thugs that are going to enforce this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So how can they not put this?
But not everybody, files income tax. So how do you verify? Do I give them a paycheck stub or?
I would think no. It should go off of your income tax.
Oh! But I work.
No. The IRS is so good that nobody's committing fraud. I certainly never have and wouldn't, even though I've been accused of it by people.
So let me get this straight. It says that everybody has to buy insurance, but that's not true. Only the people they know about and pay taxes have to buy insurance.
Oh, you mean the illegals don't have to?
Or there's a lot of legal people that are working under the table.
No, but
They don't have to.
They still have a Social Security number. The government still knows about them.
Well, but how do I prove, if I'm working roofing, doing roofing and stuff, and a guy pays me cash, I don't pay income tax on that. And I have a Social Security number. They come in and they say, Mr. Jones, how come you haven't signed up for Obamacare? No, I don't have any money. I can't do it.
Right?
This is a cluster.
You'd get a free one.
There is no free one. I saw the minimum was $145 a month or something.
You can't. You're buying into all the hype, the rhetoric of the extreme.
There is no free.
The extreme right anarchists, arsonists, jihadists. You're buying into all that, and you shouldn't be.
All right, the last thing, House and Senate Budget Committee must reach an agreement by December 13th because after December 13th, that's when all the Christmas parties happen and everybody's drunk. So they want to get that out of the way so they can enjoy the holiday seasons.
Right?
I think so. I mean, I'm usually pretty hammered and celebrating Jesus' birthday by December 13th
Always.
all the time.
Like right now.
Never mind, it's blasphemy. I'm afraid the Nigerians will strike me down with a bolt of lightning.
Well, we are sitting awfully close to each other, so
yeah, you're 25 miles, can strike out lightning stuff. Well, before the shutdown, God bless those veterans. They went down there and they were knocking down the barriers to go see the monument. They made a nice little protest, hardly covered by mainstream media. I loved it. They had bolt cutters. They were cutting all the cables that held all these metal barriers together. They were taking them, dumping them in Obama's front yard. And then, of course, the armored vehicles and the mounted patrol and the police responded with their batons and such and started harassing the people that were just trying to make a point. And lots of good stuff going on there. Sarah Palin was there, which I'm not necessarily a big fan of, but
I am.
I know you are. And I know the two things you like about her best. And nothing? Nothing?
I'm waiting for your next point.
Okay. And who else was there? Cruz? There was three
Ted
or four
Cruz,
people.
Mike Lee.
Were there. Oh, your buddy, Glenn Beck, and a bunch of people were there making speeches and stuff. Unfortunately, the next day, the barricades were all put back up.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Which
sure
I
they are.
thought was ridiculous.
Because
how much did that cost? Somebody's doing a freedom of information, by the way, in finding out that information.
there is no way in hell that it costs less money
to do
to
all
put
that.
up barricades,
Yeah.
have a police force, heavily armed police force there
Well,
to
you're
stop
paying them anyways,
85-year-olds.
You're paying them anyways.
In a wheelchair.
You're paying them anyways. You might as well have them do some manual labor. And put
Well, the big
barricades
thing,
up.
do you remember the crazy lady or whatever her deal was?
Yeah, we haven't heard much about that, have we?
Well, of course we haven't. They shot her for
Wow.
no reason. Of course
Family
we haven't
saying-
heard about
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
But all of the news
She's
stories,
just delivered a pizza.
all of the, and it looked like a baby. I don't know. All of the news stories.
No, she had delivered the baby a few months before.
Oh, okay. All of the news stories after that happened were these officers were unpaid while they were protecting everybody in the Capitol.
I don't believe
They
that.
were you don't?
I don't know. Well,
They
they were
were-
unpaid at that time.
Yeah, because they were between their 2-week paycheck period.
They don't get paid daily.
I mean, how long was the shutdown? I get paid every 2 weeks.
Yeah, so
it
do
was
I.
2 weeks. Okay.
They're unpaid until the eagle craps. Isn't that what
I was unpaid
that's what
today.
the military said.
I worked today unpaid.
I did too.
Jeez.
So, anyways,
I demand back pay.
speaking of money loss, the U.S. Park Service, they're figuring $76 million a day
Why?
during the shutdown. Fees, park fees, and concession percentages, and all that stuff. Lost money because of the shutdown.
How much did we save because the government was shut down?
Oh, nothing, because we have to pay them all anyways. And I heard just on the radio they said that all the contractors that had suspended, pay for military contracts up, they're all going to get paid. Some of the vendors and the private people, they lost money, and some of the people that count on the federal employees working downtown, restaurants and shops and stuff, they take losses. But
sure. The system's been built on the wrong foundation. That's the problem. That's why this does affect so many people. Now, I was happy to see the people with leaf blowers and lawnmowers and
they were out
cleaning.
Good.
Mowing the grass.
Were they clearing all the trees that apparently fell over on the sidewalks? Like every shot I saw of D.C., it seemed to have a tree on the sidewalk. And a metal barrier in front of it saying sidewalk closed, except for First Right Amendments.
That's
your
right.
First Amendment rights.
If the government's not
you can
open
stand there and shout,
to hold the trees up,
I'm not happy.
They fall.
The tree holders were laid off.
They
were on furlough.
They were furloughed. It's horrible.
It's dangerous.
It's horrible.
Those trees could fall on people.
They were partying in Cancun with the skunk picker up.
They were over in the shrubbery because those aren't trees. That was a little funny. Give me something.
Yep.
All right. Are we going to move on to that now? The government. We're all set. We solved all the problems. Government's back up and running at its efficient self. He said sarcastically.
Have you seen Obamacare's website? It's working pretty well.
I heard it's not. Something like they said we plan we set it up so we could process 50,000 applicants a day or something like that, and somebody calculated it, and I think the calculations are wrong. They're saying it would take 16 years for all 50 million people who are going to sign up.
Well, the 20 or 30 million that are uncovered, right?
But I figured it out, and it was, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. So it wasn't quite as bad as they thought.
Well, websites are really hard to design and plan for,
Well, they are for you.
People that actually use them.
They are for you.
Come on. With $700 billion, you would think you could build a website that would work.
I could have done it for half that. And I know nothing about computers.
Yeah.
The problem is none of the apparently databases are talking well with each other, so it could have worked that out somehow. And Oracle says, "Oh no, that's not true. They're all working beautifully." But obviously the
databases aren't talking to each other, huh?
Something like that. They got
well, they're probably different languages.
I'm sure it's Swahili and Nigerian.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
You like big government and government regulations, don't you?
Yes, I do. I do.
Hear about this poor woman in Texas. Well, we're running on time.
I've heard lots.
Oh man, we
lots
have
of
so
poor
much
women in
stuff.
Texas. Just go.
The highlights. Well, apparently she does braiding. She doesn't cut hair or anything, but she was braiding hair, and she does it in a traditional African way.
Does she have a permit?
She did not have a permit. She worked for 15, 18 years doing this, and apparently she said the cops came in and arrested her, handcuffed her, dragged her out, charged her for hair braiding without a license. Well, the problem was there was no license available for hair braiding.
Did she have one?
No, she didn't have
All right,
one.
then.
So the Texas legislator created a certificate for hair braiding, and it requires 35 hours of training. Well, she was in the catbird seat because she was the only one that was doing this in the area. So she became the first instructor recognized by the state to teach people how to braid hair. So she would certify them for the 35 hours, and these people could go out and then braid hair and make money. Ooh. She did that for 7 years. They busted her again saying, "Oh, well, we found out you need to be a state licensed barber instructor, and you have to open a barber college to teach hair braiding." Although she doesn't cut hair, she doesn't bleach hair, she doesn't dye hair, she doesn't do any of that. And that is 750 hours and costs about $20,000 to take the class. And you have to expand your business to 2,000 square feet, and you need at least 10 chairs, 5 wash stations, and other expensive equipment that she doesn't need because she just braids hair. She's suing the state.
That's good. I saw, and we're gonna have to go to break quick and come back with Terry Whitney, the candidate for U.S. Senate in Michigan. I saw. I was reading an update from a Michigan legislative spokesperson, legislator, who was talking about bills that they were sponsoring. One of them was to remove the restriction that a hair salon and the area where trainees were working had to be completely segregated walls. So he wanted to remove that so you could kind of like, get real experience.
Maybe put like a curtain there instead of a cement wall or something.
Yeah.
Don't go over there. Those are trainees.
All right. Well, 248-455 odds. We'll be back with.
We cannot be responsible for you for over there.
Boy.
All right.
We will be back with Terry.
The voice of American conservatism. WRS Digital, Red State Talk Radio.
My Parents Open Carry, a pro-gun kids book from White Feather Press. 13-year-old Brenna and her parents spend their day in typical fashion. But what's not so typical is that Brenna's parents lawfully open carry handguns for self-defense. And the Strongs join a growing number of families who are standing up for their Second Amendment right and bringing gun ownership out of the closet. Order your copy of this unique kids book at myparentsopencarry.com.
Fact. U.S. credit card debt is 8 times larger than it was 30 years ago. No wonder you and I are feeling the credit card crunch. You're not alone. Increasing prices and the costs of credit are stretching budgets and preventing people just like us from getting ahead or just catching up with our debts. At American Financial Debt Relief, we can help. We have tested ways to help you get out of debt. Find out how now. The call is free to learn more. If you qualify, we can reduce your interest, show you how to stop your debt from getting larger, and help you get out of debt faster than you can by making minimum payments. So if you're falling behind on your credit cards or medical bills, give us a call right now, where a free 5-minute call can change your life.
800-978-4815. 800-978-4815. Reduce your credit card debt. Call now. 800-978-4815. 800-978-4815. Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD, I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-932-5146. 800-932-5146. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-932-5146. 800-932-5146. Call now.
And welcome back to the Ed Odd Show.
Hello.
I'm Nate.
I'm Brian.
And we do have Terry Whitney on the line. He's running for U.S. Senate in Michigan.
Yep, we have Carl Evans, who's retiring. There's an open Senate seat.
Finally.
Everybody is struggling for that. Everybody wants that.
Yeah, and it's time to get some real common sense, conservative, right-wing extremist in there. And
exactly.
I'm kind of serious about that.
A Tea Party person that is a National Socialist. No, that's not.
I don't think that's
true.
what you mean. But anyway, I want to welcome Terry to the show. Terry, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for letting me be on.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Why don't start out, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and why in the hell are you getting into politics?
Well, I've been in the state for 17 years, came out here for college, and just fell in love with the state. Met my fiance out here, and I've just kind of been here ever since. The reason why I'm going to politics is I was really disappointed that we didn't have a couple more hardcore conservative candidates run. And I'm tired of being just one of the many folks sitting on the sidelines complaining endlessly about our government.
Yeah, I definitely hear you there. Now, a little bit of confusion. You're running as a Democrat, correct?
Correct.
And what's the reasoning for that? I mean, generally Democrats, we think liberal. It sounds like you're going to run as a conservative.
Well, Thomas Jefferson was the first Democrat, and most people who are conservative, they'll go around quoting Thomas Jefferson, throughout the little memes or whatever, but they really don't have a clue that Thomas Jefferson was one of the ones who insisted upon the language of the Constitution to be very plain, down-to-earth, common sense language. And, unfortunately, our government has grown to the point where you have to be a lawyer to read any bill that comes out of the House or the Senate these days. It doesn't...
Well, why not run as a Republican? They tend to be more conservative these days than a Democrat. You're talking about the classical definitions. Well, that's not what we have anymore.
Yeah, that's part of the problem. I mean, if you look at what's going on right now, we have the GOP is pretty much tearing itself apart between the Tea Party, the moderates, and then you have the old-style, old-guard Republicans, the rogues of the world, so to speak.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and that is a big problem facing the Republicans right now is the division. And if you can get in there and cause a similar division in the Democrat Party, that'd be great. But the other thing going for you is Michigan's a blue state, so people will just, if you make it past the primary, people are going to just vote Democrat, so that might work out.
Well, I'd be happy if I just make it to the ballot, which I plan on doing, but... that being said, I got two candidates, which are both multimillionaires, and I'm nowhere in between that. So I hope to make at least a dent in both their campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. And on one side, Terry Lynn Land running as an electable conservative, and I've asked her several times, what does she mean by electable conservative? And who knows what that means? I know what it means. It means
moderate.
Not really. Yeah, exactly. It means moderate is exactly what it means. Well, if you were elected to office and you won, what are a couple things you would want to do right off the bat?
Well, the first thing I would do is I would go over and there's two independent senators last time I looked, and there's a great amount of conservative Republicans, and there's a few conservative Democrats, which are far between, and say, why are we fighting amongst yourselves? Americans want leadership, not bickering. And that's what Washington's become. It's become some sort of marketing campaign ploy between red versus blue. On TV and during the day, they fight tooth and nail, and then as soon as the cameras close up, they're off at the bars having drinks with each other.
Well, okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, there's no definitive voice for reason or sanity in Washington these days. There's nobody who actually says, you know what, Obamacare is horrible, and here are the reasons. Here's an alternative. Nobody wants to talk about, the GOP wants to kill Obamacare, and I'm all for that. I can't stand Obamacare, but I've read it. It took me weeks upon weeks to read it. It's 2,602 pages of basically just crap.
Well, yeah, you mentioned an alternative to Obamacare. What would you propose as an alternative, and why not just scrap it and let the free markets handle it?
Well, that's just it. Instead of government intervening in healthcare, why don't we have tort reform? Why don't we cover the doctors underneath Good Samaritan laws? Then, that's a third of their costs and their practices is just health insurance. Or, sorry, not health insurance, but malpractice insurance.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. And making, health savings accounts more prominent and known through free market solutions, of course, is kind of my thoughts on it. But what about the shutdown? You talk about bickering. I mean, this whole fiasco with the government shutdown definitely involved a lot of bickering, a lot of it's the Republicans, it's the Democrats.
Or no bickering, just a refusal to negotiate.
Or a refusal to talk. What in general, what do you think about the shutdown? Who was to blame? Was it good or bad? And have we made any progress?
Well, it came down to the GOP attacked itself. the GOP was in good lines. I mean, he had Ted Cruz, Lee, he had a few other conservatives out there who, were fighting tooth and nail to get one thing done, which was to at least just expand the extension for exemptions to everybody else for 1 year.
Right.
And what happened? Boehner and McConnell caved.
Boy, they sure did.
With the rest of the GOP.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Moving on to something, I thought Brian had a question, but I guess not. Moving on to something that's a little closer to the passion of Brian and I. What's your take on the Second Amendment? Where does the government play a role in making sure, that we don't have these dangerous assault weapons, on the streets? And just what's your general idea on that?
Well, the Second Amendment was designed to create a regular militia of people. It wasn't designed to take away anybody's rights. It wasn't designed to have a state police force. It was so that each and every state could call upon its citizens to defend the state. That was the original intent of the Constitution, and you could read, there are multiple books on the intent of the Second Amendment. Thomas Jefferson, wrote a great deal about the Second Amendment. I'm all for anybody owning any kind of weapon that the military has. And the reason being is that it's your right, it's your natural right to defend yourself. If somebody doesn't want to own a weapon, great. They don't have to own one, they don't have to buy one, they don't have to do anything with a gun. But those that do want to own a weapon, they should have the same level of access to military hardware or any kind of firearm that the military does.
So bazookas, flamethrowers,
yes.
tanks, and all that stuff. If they can afford it, they can have it.
If they can afford it, but I mean, how many people are going to go out and shell out $50,000 to $75,000 for a novelty weapon that would clearly identify them if they tried misusing it?
Yeah, not many. But one of the reasons it's so expensive is because it's prohibited.
Right.
I think if it were allowed that everyday citizens could own those things, the price would come way down.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
You still have a supply issue with those sorts of weapons.
But let the market decide that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if they were free, you still can't restrict people from owning them.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
murder is illegal. That's fine. I'm okay with that law.
Yeah. I concur.
Well, I mean, look what happened in the UK. They've banned guns. So what's happened to gun crime?
Yeah,
it still exists, and it's gone way down. But assaults, rapes, robberies, and other violent crime have gone up.
Yep.
And the weapons of choice include bludgeoning weapons,
knives,
baseball bats, hammers, knives.
Yep.
So now they want to make a knife ban.
Yeah. And next will be baseball bats. Well, cricket bats. Cricket bats.
I mean, that makes absolutely no sense. That we're going to just ban weapons. Well,
Yeah.
it's not a weapon issue. It's a mental health care issue.
That's definitely part of it. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that we need legislation to keep weapons out of the hands of mentally ill people, but somehow we need to foster a society where we take care of these people,
right?
Not necessarily through government programs, but I mean, there's just so much that's going on, and everybody's becoming so dependent on the federal government. I think you would agree that those are the types of issues we cause, that individuals aren't willing or able to take care of their neighbor that needs help, and the government obviously fails, and then we have mass shootings and suicide rates going up and all of the other deteriorations of society that we see happening today.
Right. Well, I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, we had, the federal government was giving funds to the states for mental health care. And on the books, up until I think like 92 or whatever, up until a Supreme Court case, and I forget the actual case name, police had the right to detain somebody who said, called up and said, hey, I'm hearing voices or space aliens are living underneath my porch. Whatever the case may be, if they deemed them a danger to society, they could have them evaluated. Now you have to basically all but be, shooting, actively trying to shoot or harm somebody before they can have you evaluated.
Yeah, I don't know if we're on the same page there, because you can't. That is a very tough situation, but you can't just say, well, there's something wrong with you, the government's going to get involved. I mean, and I hear this, homeless people that are talking to themselves on the street. Whose business is it?
Right. Or deny somebody a right because they have the potential to maybe harm somebody. But as I've had arguments before about mental health issue is most people with, mental health issues didn't hurt anybody today.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whether they're on medications or not.
We're talking about the folks, though, that call you up and say, there's somebody stalking me, there's somebody doing this, and then 2 days later we have a shooting in D.C. We're talking about the Adam Lanzas of the world that had multiple run-ins with police.
Did he?
And then,
I don't know if he did. Well, maybe a few, yeah.
Sure.
But again, he didn't get a gun lawfully.
No,
I
agree with that.
No gun ban would have stopped that.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. And I think freedom isn't always
pretty,
but it's always the right choice. And when you have more armed people, if somebody in the school in Connecticut would have been armed,
a gun-free zone issue than
I think so.
I think if the school was armed, you would have had a lot less fatalities.
Certainly,
absolutely,
or maybe deterred it entirely.
Right, they would have gone on to a different school or other location.
All right. Well, what have you had other political posts you've had? Have you had any kind of community service, volunteer work, anything like that you've worked?
I work a lot with Michigan Animal Rescues.
Okay.
As for anything political, no. I've blogged here and there and just little, comments or whatever, but nothing major.
Well, we need people that aren't part of the establishment to get involved. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And hopefully you work with dogs because I love dogs, so that's a good plus for me.
You like dogs?
Yeah, I have 3 of my own.
Good.
Okay.
Nate has 2. I have 1.
I have 2,
and a cat. And Nate has a cat.
We've touched on this a bit. It's more of a philosophical question, but in the big picture, what do you think the role of government is?
Name 3 things that you think the government should do for the people.
And you're running for federal office, so we'll stick with the federal government.
Yeah. Name 3 things, if you can.
To protect the people,
okay.
To promote the general common welfare, and to regulate currency. And by regulate, I mean make sure it's regular, not dump tons of quantitative easing.
Yeah.
By keeping interest rates artificially low.
So back it with something of value?
Yeah, maybe gold, silver.
I don't know if that's ever worked before.
I don't know if it's never been tried, has it?
No, I don't think so.
In the sticky thing, because what you said, I don't disagree with. You see those words in the Constitution, which is great, but that general welfare clause is what people don't quite understand.
It's kind of vague.
Yeah. It is. Well, it's not in the Constitution, but it's been expanded to mean everything. Things like Obamacare.
Right.
I think we're on the same page that you aren't into entitlements and really helping individuals with their very private lives. That it's more of a common defense, military, protect us from foreign threats.
Correct. The way healthcare to me and ideally would work is we all pay. We get rid of the income tax. We all pay a national sales tax under 10% or less, so you keep your income. But it'd be like the police department or the fire department. You pay those services, or you go private. You just go to your doctor. You pay them whatever set fee that they ask for, and you let the free market decide. What will happen is it'll become more and more like there's a couple of doctors out there doing it right now where they've gone to a la carte, just cash only operations.
Right, I've heard that. They're just doing cash.
And it's cheaper for the folks in the long run because instead of paying your
all that
couple
staff
$1,000 in insurance
and all the staff that they have to process all the insurance forms and all that costs money too.
Oh yeah, and very costly software.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add to tell potential voters that why they should vote for you?
How to get a hold of you, where to donate.
Yeah,
all those
your
good
website.
stuff.
Go ahead and plug yourself. Don't plug yourself, but plug yourself.
Yeah, there we go. My website's terrywhitney.org. There is a donate button, and I've been working on it vehemently, trying to get it cleaned up. A couple of minor issues with that. The reason you should vote for me is I am not a career politician. 2 terms, I'm out. I don't care what's going on. I don't want to do this for a living. I'm fed up, like many other voters out there, and I don't believe that 2 folks that have not worked a day in the private sector in the last decade have anything to do with the common folks in Michigan, including myself. And that's why I'm running. If anybody else wants to run in this race, I will happily sit down and help them get the paperwork together to do it. Because more people running in the Senate race or Congress or anything in between is that much better for all of us.
More choices.
More choice.
So what you want to do is you want to serve and then get out.
I want 2 terms. I would love to repeal the 17th Amendment, which is the direct election of senators, which will never happen, but nonetheless, I would love to see that go. I want to see the 16th Amendment go, which is the income tax.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to ask how you felt about term limits.
I would love to see no more than 2 terms, period, for anybody. Doesn't matter if it's the Senate, the House, or 10 total years of public office.
Well, that's originally how it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be these gentlemen farmers and these businessmen that would come in, serve for a short while, and then go back to the farms and to the shops,
right.
And not make a career out of it.
Right, and unfortunately, we have
the Carl Levins
several
of the world.
Yes, well, we have the Carl Levins of the world, we have the Peters of the world, and so on and so forth, that have all they've made careers.
All right, well, Terry, thanks for being with us. TerryWhitney.org.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah, I want to thank you. And good luck.
If you have anything new and exciting, let us know. You can email us from our website. Let us know how you do in the primaries and all that kind of stuff.
Great.
Maybe we'll have you on as the primary candidate.
Sure, and then as senator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that's interesting. A conservative Democrat.
Yeah, and I understand what his point was. He's saying, well, he's classic Democrat, and I understand that, and I'm glad he cleared that up a bit. But there's just a few sticky points that, I don't agree with him on. But otherwise, he sounds like he would be a pretty good, somebody that we would like in there representing us.
A classical libertarian, almost.
He would represent at least how I feel about things.
I agree.
And doesn't sound like he's a big fan of the current administration, so that's a plus for me too.
And he wants to try to do and change a few things in Washington, and that's always good.
Well, in the other candidate, Gary Peters, he mentioned, is the other Democrat running in Michigan, not going to do us any good at all.
No.
And then the Republican candidate is, so far, Terry Lynn Land, former Secretary of State.
Not so keen on that either.
Again, she's the electable conservative, and I have asked her, and Terry, I'm waiting for you to let me know what that means. And I just want to point out that I've invited all of the candidates who have officially announced that they're running. I've invited them all on the show.
But, I mean, we have such political clout that don't know why they're not knocking our door down.
I think they will, but... And I want an answer of what she thinks an electable conservative is, and if she thinks it's not moderate, because she's not that bad of a candidate. There's worse. There's Gary Peters.
Well, she's pro-gun.
There's Carl Levin, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what I was going to say. Is almost anybody would be better than him, but maybe not.
Debbie Stabenow.
No,
she wouldn't be.
We already have a Debbie,
and unfortunately, she's still there.
We already have that, and she will be there for years to come. And unless
until she's Carl's age, 120, I think.
21,
121. All right, but that's all the time we have. Remember, adoddshow.com, Red State Talk Radio, Facebook.com/adoddshow. all those good things. Brian's having something. I don't know what he's
little
doing.
chest pain, nothing to worry about.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave before I feel
You have
obligated to help you.
Mouth to mouth. I'm
Yep.
having trouble breathing.
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening. And what else?
See you next week.
Bye-bye.